The words of Nehemiah the son of Hakaliah. It came to pass in the month of Chislev, in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan the citadel. Then Hanani, one of my brothers, came with men from Judah, and I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said to me, the survivors who are left from the captivity in the province live there in great distress and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burned with fire. Nehemiah's intercessory prayer. So it was, when I heard these words, I sat down and wept, and I mourned for the many days. I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven. And I said, no, indeed, O Lord, the mighty, the great, and awesome God of heaven, who keeps the covenant and mercy for those who love him and who keep his commandments. Let your ear be attentive to your eyes open, that you may hear the prayer of your servant, which I pray before you now, day and night, for the children of Israel, your servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we sinned against you. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have departed from you, and have not kept the commandments, the statutes, nor the ordinances which you commanded your servant Moses. Remember, I pray, the word you commanded your servant Moses, saying, if you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. But if you return to me and keep my commandments and do them, even your dispersion be the farthest part of heaven. Yet I will gather them from there and bring them to the place which I have chosen as a dwelling for my name. Now these are your servants and your people, whom you have redeemed by your great power and your strong hand. Rather, O Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and to the prayer of your servants who desire to fear your name. And let your servant prosper today, I pray, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. For I was a cupbearer to the king. Nehemiah is sent to Judah. And it came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of the reign of King Artaxerxes, when the wine was before me, and I took the wine and gave it to the king. There was no one else present before him. And the king said to me, why is your countenance sad, and why are you not self-controlled? This is nothing but sickness of the heart. So I was greatly afraid. Then I said to the king, may the king live forever. Why should my face be sad when the city, the home of the tombs of my fathers, lies waste and its gates destroyed by fire? Then the king said to me, why is it that you request concerning this? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said to the king, if it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, send me to Judah, to the city of the tombs of my fathers, that I may rebuild it. Then the king, his queen sitting beside him, said to me, how long will your journey be? And when will you return? And my request found favor before the king. And he sent me, and I gave him a time. Then I said to the king, if it pleases the king, let him give me letters for the governors beyond the river, that I may be given safe passage until I come to Judah, and also a letter to Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall occupy. And the king granted these to me, as the good hand of God was upon me. And I came to the governors beyond the river, and gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. And for Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite servant, it was distressing to them that a man had come to seek the well-being of the children of Israel. Nehemiah survives the damage to the well. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. Then I rose up in the night, I and a few men with me. I told no one what my God had put in my heart for me to do for Israel. Nor was there any animal with me except the one on which I rode. And I went out by night through the valley gate of the mouth of the spring of the fig tree and to the dung gate. And I was viewing the wall of Jerusalem, which they had broken down, and its gates, which they had destroyed by fire. Then I passed on to the fountain gate and went to the king's pool. But there was no room for the animal I was riding to pass. So I went up to the wall by the brook at night and viewed the wall. Then I was at the valley gate, and I returned. The sentries did not know why I had gone or what I was doing. And I did not tell the Jews, the priests, the nobles, the officials, or the others doing the work until my return. Then I said to them, "You see the distress we are in. Now Jerusalem is laid waste, and its gates are destroyed with fire. Come and let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and we will no longer be a reproach." And I told them of the hand of God, which is good upon me, and also of the king's words that he had spoken to me. So I said, "Let us rise up and let us build." And their hands were strengthened for good work. But when Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite servant, and Geshem the Arab heard of it, they laughed us to scorn and came to us and said, "What is this thing that you are doing? Are you rebelling against the king regarding this?" So I answered and said to them, "The God of heaven will himself prosper us, and we, his servants, are innocent, and we will build. You, but you have no part or right or memorial in Jerusalem." Notes from the previous page. 1:1. Nehemiah means comforted of God. Shushan is Susa, a provincial capital in Persia. It is its most prominent city and winter residence of King Artaxerxes. Esther 1:2. Chislev is late November, early December. The 20th year is that of the reign of Artaxerxes I, dating this account at 445 BC. 1:2. Hanani, a presumed blood brother of Nehemiah, is later made ruler of Jerusalem. 7:2. He accompanies some men from Judah on an 800-mile journey to Persia to tell Nehemiah the status of the survivors of the captivity now back in Judah and the city of Jerusalem. 1:3. The returned exiles are in great distress, for the wall and gates of Jerusalem are destroyed. Addressing these two problems, the wall and gates, is key to understanding the book of Nehemiah. 1:4. Nehemiah, as would Christ, Matthew 23:37, laments prayerfully for the people of Jerusalem, acknowledging they were guilty of sin and disobedience. Moreover, though a layman, he stands with the prophets and interceding with God for the sake of the chosen people and striving to renew the people's obedience to the law. Throughout Scripture, fasting and praying go together. For Orthodox Christians, the church offers additional services of worship and intercession during seasons of fasting, especially Lent and Advent. 15:1-11. No, indeed, is Nehemiah's way of saying, "I'm not putting up with the damaged state of the walls and gates of Jerusalem." Nehemiah's prayer reflects his devotion to the words of Scripture. The phrase "great and awesome God" from Deuteronomy 7:21, verses 8 and 9, quote, Deuteronomy 30:1-5, "This man, the king, is Artaxerxes I, under whom Nehemiah held office of cupbearer. He it is who would grant Nehemiah's request to return to Jerusalem." 2:6-8. 2:1. In ancient times, a ruler's demise was often brought about through the poisoning of his food and of wine. So before King Artaxerxes was served, Nehemiah would first sample his food and drink. Typically, a cupbearer was in the king's presence more than any of his other subjects and often was held in high confidence. On this day, no one else was present but his queen. 2:3. May the king live forever was the common way to greet a king. See Dan 2:4, 5:10, 6:7 to 22. In the same spirit as greeting the bishop, "Many years to you, O master," or "Master bless." 2:4. Nehemiah continues in prayer, silently and in brief, to the God of heaven, for Artaxerxes had decreed that Jerusalem not be rebuilt unless by his order. 2:19. 2:5. Nehemiah moves from intercessor to mediator. It was crucial for him both to be prayerful and to act. 2:7-8. Sensing there would be opposition, Nehemiah asked for letters to give him safe passage and timber to complete the work of rebuilding the wall and the gates of Jerusalem. The good hand of God had touched the heart of the king, who came to understand the benefits of a loyal Jewish ally in Judah. 2:10. Sanballat and Tobiah, together with Geshem the Arab, will be Nehemiah's constant detractors throughout the rebuilding of the wall. According to an ancient papyrus, Sanballat later became governor of Samaria. 2:11-16. Jesus warned his servants to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Matthew 10:16. Being a man of wisdom, Nehemiah secretly inspects the wall of Jerusalem by night. Not even the sentries knew that he was up to what he was up to. 2:17-18. I said to them, with the survey completed and the mission now clear, Nehemiah calls together the officials of Jerusalem and the workers, where he moves the mediator to motivator. Let us rise up and let us build.